Thanks for joining us on The Perfect X. My name is Sherry, and this is my co-host Ben.
Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Ben Lasso.
And today our topic is what makes a good first date. And before we start, I just want to let everyone know if they could subscribe, follow us, do all those technical stuff. On Instagram, we are The Perfect, which is one word, and then underscore X. X is the letter X. It is not spelled EX. So it's The Perfect underscore X. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything you want to bring up with us, you can also email us at theperfectx, one word, theperfectx at hotmail.com. So perfect. How are you, Ben?
I'm doing great. I'm
Good.
fine. Just got out of work. But yeah, how are you? How was your weekend?
Mine was good. Mine was actually really quiet and boring, but I did get a chance to see a friend of mine who I haven't seen for like 20 years, like a guy friend of mine that I grew up with. That part was
20
fun.
years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He moved
Oh,
to
that's
Europe
cool.
like years ago, and then I moved to LA 10 years ago, and then before that, like we were family friends, but like as you get older, like you don't go to like the family stuff or all hang out together anymore. So kind of separated, and I just saw him. Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was fun to catch up.
Did he moved over there or he was just on vacation or?
He was just for work. So like he owns a wine company in Europe, and I guess he was like out here for distribution.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. But I don't think it was a lot of fun for him. I didn't drink this weekend. I wasn't like in the mood for it. So I was just like sipping on my hot tea.
Oh,
but
that's
but
always good.
yeah, what about you?
Um, I just went out with some friends. Two friend I have some friends, they're all like different couples, and two of their wives or like each wife they're out of town, so we just kind of had like a guys night. We had karaoke, we did some barbecue. Well, it's not real barbecue, we're all Mexican, so we do carne asada or like a grill.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
we grilled steaks, and it was fun, just hanging out with them, and the rest was kind of chill. I really did not do much. And tonight I'm gonna go play bingo.
Oh my God, bingo. Bingo is so fun. I was just gonna tell you too, when I was a girlfriend, my favorite thing was to crash guys' nights. I just think guys are so fun when it's all of you guys talking about everything, and especially your girlfriends when they're away. So I just think it's so fun. So you probably had a great time, huh?
Yeah, it was really fun. We had a really good time. One of my friends, the owner of the house, his wife was there. But she's always like she's super cool and like she gets along with everyone. So that was cool. And so, but yeah, had a good time.
That's so fun. Well, good.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna ask you first, what do you think makes a good first date?
Oh, that's kind of a loaded question. Because I mean, there's, I guess, a lot of things that just can make a great date. Um, but
Well, here's a simple part of it. Do you think you should plan it first or the girl or who asks?
so okay, so I like to plan it. Of course, it all depends like how everything is going, right? Like if this person likes to eat sushi or they don't, you know. But I kind of usually like to plan it. I'm I'm a lot of, hey, I can go pick you up. Usually I get the no because they're always thinking with all these murder podcasts and stuff like that, they're always like, oh, this guy's a serial killer. Why is he gonna come and pick me up? But I like to plan it and give my options. But a lot of times I also like to be like, okay, I'll pick the restaurant or I'll pick here, but if you want to do something afterwards or before, and you can pick it. You know, like let's split the job, or let's split the date, or if we don't decide on anything and she doesn't like whatever I'm choosing, I'm usually like, okay, send me three options and I'll send you three options, and then from there we'll just we'll pick.
Do you do that thing where like guys like lately I noticed they ask like, do you have any dietary restrictions? Like do you ask that or specific things you crave or like? And actually a big thing is, do you also believe that you should go to her, like towards her area?
Oh, oh yeah. So Austin is not as big as LA, I feel. Well, I know, but I prefer to go closer to her area.
You're a good first date. Good first date
Yeah,
then.
yeah. I prefer that. I like driving. I don't really like traffic, but yeah, later afternoon is not traffic is not terrible here, so I don't mind driving. And again, I'm always the guy that's, hey, I can go pick you up. Um, and if you don't know this, I usually open the car door for when they get in the car.
You know what's really
So
funny? I love a guy who opens a door, but the car door I hate because I hate feeling like someone's watching me trying to get into the car seat. I hate that feeling. Like it's just, and then also like it's just awkward. You're like trying to like make sure you're not flashing them or get if you're wearing a skirt, or a dress or like so and like or if you're wearing jeans or whatever pants, you're like, I gotta move
yeah.
fast enough. He's like holding their door standing. Like but I love
Well,
the concept of it. Like I do
yeah,
love it.
I'm gonna tell you something. I won't close the door. I'll just go over, open the door, and once it's open and they grab the door, I walk to my place. Like I'm not gonna wait until you
That's
close the
actually
door.
nice. That's actually
Yeah.
because it's like kind of anxious. And then what about when like the girl gets out? Because then I also always feel so rude. Like I'm not gonna just sit there waiting for you to get all the way around to open the
I
door.
never open the door. I wait for them to, like, I was nice enough to open it for you, but I mean I don't have to, because it's turn off the car and you're like getting ready, and if like I have sunglasses, I take them off and put on my regular glasses and then have to go, and the girl's either like just waiting there. I mean,
Yes,
I don't know.
awkward.
If she wants to wait there, I'll open the door, but usually we get there, we park, she grabs her bag or whatever, purse, and just opens the door, and that's fine. I mean, I feel like opening the door, getting out of it, it's okay. Like, it's a like you have to wait there for a while, and I just feel it's kind of uncomfortable for
It's
them.
awkward. It's awkward. So I hate so my and like my sister till this day doesn't believe me. I actually hate being stared at, but it's hard to believe because I never shut up. So I'm always really loud or talk a lot where we are so people aren't staring. But I don't like to be the center. I don't purposely like to be the center of attention. So I actually hate when a guy opens. I love the concept. I love if he opens every other door, but I hate the car door because like it makes me a little anxious. And I
But I could
remember
still
what
stare at your ass even if I open the door, door of the restaurant or wherever
I
we're
know, but
going.
it's like you don't understand. Like if you're wearing a dress or a skirt, trying to position yourself to get into the car without like exposing yourself, it's just awkward. Or I just feel like if I'm wearing pants, like they're waiting, and it makes me nervous. So I
Yeah,
remember I went on a date with this guy once, and I told him, "Can you please stop opening the door? Like I appreciate it, but I actually don't want it." And he thought it was like an ego thing, but he had kind of like a dry, sick sense of humor like me.
yeah.
And when we got back out of the restaurant, the valet guy was like this really young kid, and he went to open the door for me and my date, which I thought was really fun because I have that sick sense of humor, but this kid almost cried. He's like, "Don't!" As the kid had the hand on my door handle, he's like, "Her arms are," he's like, "Her arms aren't broken. She can open the door herself." He's like this big burly guy. It looked like abuse, but I started like like he was saying like her arms are broken, she can open that door herself. But we were laughing. So this kid's like so confused. He's like, do I open this door? Do I not open this door? Like, what's going on here? And I was laughing because I got his humor. The kid was almost
Yeah.
crying, and I was like, no, like it's all good. But yeah,
Yeah, I
but
mean, I like to open it, but then again, I'll just walk away. Once it's open, once they have grabbed the handle or whatever, I'm out. Like, that's on you. You can close it, you know?
I really, really
Just
like that. I really hope guys are taking note to this because I usually get the opposite. It's like the guys holding the door and waiting, and I'm getting super anxious. And then I'm like, because I'm really blunt, I'm like, I don't know how to like nicely say like, please stop, So without coming off rude, so like it just becomes a whole awkward moment. But I actually really like the thought of a guy opening the door but walking, like not standing behind me,
of course, yeah.
like so.
Yeah.
It's a good concept. But
So now
also
what do you feel about like the guy picking you up for the first date?
okay, well, so that like going back to the beginning of the question, like for me, I and I like I'm all for like feminist belief, whatever. I get girls want to do their own thing, but I still like old school dating. I like to be taken out. I like so when a guy I even if I ask or whatever, I like the guy to say, "Hey, like here." Either he says like, "Here's a restaurant in your." I think going to the girls' area first date is super important. It's super super
Hmm.
important because it shows that you are making effort. And if you care about someone, you know, and I get online dating like you're talking to 20 people, you're going on like whatever many dates, but the older we get, we're like a little more selective. So I went from like 3, 4 dates a week to like one date maybe every other week. So if I'm saying yes, I really, really want to get to know this person, like, you know? And so
Yeah.
I think you should start with your best foot forward. And I like to be courted a bit. So for me, the best foot forward is a guy saying, like, hey, you know, here's this nice, like, whatever place by your house. I like him to like figure that out. I think that's really important. Driving, so, you know, I used to like have absolutely no problem with a guy picking me up, but I've had, and I mean, we'll definitely talk about this later, but some really bad experiences with guys not going away after there's been disinterest. And a lot of times, if they did know where I lived, I was like so uncomfortable. Even though I'm in an apartment building, like finding my apartment would be way hard, but I still made me uncomfortable. So now I don't do that on the first date. There are some exceptions, like sometimes, like if I know them through somebody else, then of course I don't mind.
Yeah.
And I actually like being picked up on the first date. Like I prefer that too, but it's only because of past experiences that I no longer I'm okay with that easily. If it's online, absolutely not. You know, I have had like on the first date where you meet the person and everything's fine, and then like, you know, instead of Ubering home, he'll say like, I don't mind dropping you off. I'm okay with that if everything feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, like of course I much prefer like I like being courted, so I would love when he comes and picks me up and stuff.
Yeah.
But you
But yeah,
know,
yeah, I also get like, I mean, as much as like there's crazy guys out there, those there could also be like a crazy girl, and I also don't want to know. I also don't want her to know where I live because like you never know if she's just, I don't know, gonna go and like she didn't like the date or something, and she just slashes your tires or
well,
you
I
know.
definitely want to bring up in like our next one of our next episodes, but like there are I'm gonna totally bring up stories where like guys that I've just been like, I'm not interested in you, I'm really sorry, and they just won't stop harassing. So we'll bring that up for sure. You gotta tell me girl stories because I have stories from girl like I know a guy who's like a girl like came and like egged his car like just after a first date. So like there are there are,
Yeah, there are
you
instances
know,
where it's just like I it's a first date, like calm down. Like it's
I
not
know.
like I proposed and then I cheated, you know, like maybe go crazy, but
Oh,
not just
just
like that.
wait. Just wait. I have
Yeah.
definitely one of my stories I have saved for a podcast, like a guy who just would not stop harassing me. Like, and I was like, it was 2 hours of your life. Like, we had one drink. Like,
Yeah.
I will Venmo you the $15 for that glass of wine. Just leave me alone. All right. So,
Okay, so you said if I like to make plans. Now, do you like making the plans? Do you like a guy that just, hey, tonight let's meet here. We're gonna do this and then we're gonna do that. Like, do
so
you prefer to take
I don't
hmm
like two things on the first date. I definitely don't. I think like the first date should be clean. Like, I what and like I think like I prefer like drinks and dinner or like drinks, you know, but I would like it to just be one thing. There's been dates where I've gone on a first date and it's been like so, and I like a little bit early because, and this is why the reason why is like I've gone on dates with somebody like I met him at 7 and we talked all the way to the closing of the restaurant. It was just such a good first date, you know. And there's
yeah.
been first dates where I've gone on and like 30 minutes in, I'm like, dear Lord, like, like I want to get away from this person. So I think the first date, and I actually get really angry, like hell no to like two things or too long. Like if it ends up going longer, that's totally fine, but not initially planned that way, you know?
Okay.
But and I don't like to come up with it at all. Like I really, really like the guy to do it. I actually just had a guy this weekend. He kept being like, "Well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Oh my god! Like you're saying, like Sunday at 7 o'clock. Well, there's only one thing to do, and that's grab drinks. We can't even go to a coffee shop; they're closed. So like, what? There's only one thing to do. So why don't you just say that one thing, you know?
But
And then I
what if
pretty
I
much
say like, hey, Sherry, let's go bowling and have some drinks and maybe something to eat there.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's one thing. That's one place. It's not
Okay,
like,
that's
hey, yeah, it's not like let's go to like dinner or like let's go to drinks here. Because there are guys who be like, let's go to drinks here and then go like down to like this area. We'll Uber like to another restaurant over here. And it's like, I don't want to do both things with you on the first date. Because what if by drinks I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to a second location, and you get stuck because now we've agreed to those plans, you know?
yeah.
And you're like, but
If
I can
if you don't like bowling and I say let's go bowling, would you tell me, oh, I don't like to go bowling, or
yeah,
would you go either way? Okay.
absolutely. And would you appreciate that? Like, what about you when you plan it? Do you appreciate a girl saying like, I'm not into bowling?
Oh, totally. Because I don't want to go and pick her up and then we're there and she's like, I don't really like bowling. Well, why did you say that in the first place? Like, like I could have done something else. We could have thought of another thing. But if I'm like doing like my effort of coming up with a plan and trying to do something, because I also get tired sometimes of just the same, let's go out for dinner and drinks, like why don't we go to, hey, there's on Saturday morning, there's this, I don't know, farmer's market or something. Let's just go down there and walk. And I don't know. I want to do
Well,
the
see,
same typical thing.
that's also tricky too. Like, I think like certain things should not be first date things. Like, I hate when a guy, I absolutely hate when a guy asks me to go for a hike on a first date, and that happens a lot in LA. And it's like, I don't
Mm,
want to go get sweaty with you on the first date. Like, you
hmm.
know what I mean? Like, I want to look my best. Farmers
Yeah.
markets, no one's ever asked. Oh, actually, I think I've been on one farmers like 10 years ago, like when I first, or like 8 years ago, something like that, when I first moved here. But farmers market is cute because you can grab coffee, you can walk around, you could do that kind of stuff. As long as it's on a busy street that you could also go in and out of stores, that's cute. But I think
Yeah.
something shouldn't be, something should not be. Like, I get dinner, and I agree with you. Like, I like being date, I like my first date to dress up. I love that, but I'm Persian, so I love to put on heels and I love to dress up. But
Yeah.
I do also agree with you. Like, last night I was supposed to go on a date and I really didn't feel like going for a drink. I just had no desire for it. By the time we'd planned, I wasn't really hungry. I was like, I don't even want this date to happen. So I kind of understand what you're saying. Like, sometimes it is redundant. You're like, I want to do anything else. But at the same time, I really like to wear nice clothes on the first date, but I could do cute things like bowling. I hate bowling, but I wouldn't mind that for a first date because you can move around, you could talk, you can, I think farmers market's great. Like, I wouldn't do karaoke. Hell fucking no.
Oh
Definitely
no.
not.
And also movies I think are terrible because you cannot even
Awful.
talk to the person.
Awful.
So yeah,
Awful. It's
there's
like
there's
the
a lot
worst
of
thing.
things that are not, yeah.
Yet,
Yeah,
like, I really don't even understand how you could ask someone for a movie first date because it's like, well, you're not even gonna get to know the person. Watch a movie.
yeah, unless it was like, oh, my favorite movie is, I don't know, a 1980 movie, and mine too. Oh, guess what? They're showing it at this, like if it was just something that you clicked on and it's maybe it would be like the only possibility for if I ever do it. But yeah, I feel hiking, yeah, not a good move. Because like you say, you're gonna be sweaty, you're gonna be like not in your best outfit. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know there's like
Um,
cute hiking outfits nowadays, but I still don't want to wear that on a first date. Like, like, first of all, I don't hike or work out with makeup on, and like, I'm okay with a guy seeing me without makeup, but at the same time, I don't want that to be my first date. Like, like that should definitely be down the line. Like,
yeah.
like, I don't know. I live in LA. Like, it gets hot. Like, I'm not gonna put foundation on and just like go up the mountain. Like, you know.
Well, next week is we're going to be like high 90s, like 99, 98. So it
Oh,
gets
you
hot
are.
here too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's like but people, I don't know about where you are, but like like in LA, they love. I had like an old hairdresser, and she loved it too but her, I kind of understood. Like, she had a kid and she worked a lot, and so for her, she wanted to, and she loved working out. Like, working out was her thing. So if she had free time, she actually liked going to the gym on a first date or hiking. So I
Yeah.
mean, to each their own. She really didn't mind it, but I absolutely hate it. Like, what do you think about coffee? Like, a lot of people are doing that now.
I mean, I like coffee. I mean, I'm fine with coffee, but also coffee at 7 at night. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, that's another thing too. Like, like sometimes, like, I have a lot of guys ask me lately, like since COVID. I never had this happen before COVID, but since COVID, guys ask like, "Do you want to go grab coffee?" And I was like, "Well, on the weekends, I've got like things to do usually during the day, so it's not going to work as much. Or usually Sundays are actually to have coffee with my girlfriend, so that's already taken. And during the week, like the one time I tried to do it last week, I had to like move a bunch of meetings, organize my whole day, and then the guy had to go pick up his kid because he was sick. And it's like, well, this did
Yeah.
I had to organize all my meetings today to grab coffee at 2 o'clock with you, and it just was so irritating because it's hard
Yeah.
to plan
And
during the week.
yeah. I went on a date for breakfast with this girl. She loved breakfast, and there's this place. I don't know if it's a franchise, and there's in California. It's called Snooze, and it's only breakfast, and it's really good breakfast. It's a really nice place. You have to make reservation, and they're only open like from 7 in the morning to like noon.
That's actually
And
really cute, though.
so I was like, "Hey, I know you like breakfast. I got a date for you. Let's go on Saturday and have breakfast." And she was like, "I love that idea." And so we went and had breakfast. And then I thought it was great because and it went great because after that it was still, I don't know, noon when we finished or 11:30. And then I was like, "Hey, by the way, there's a brewery here by. Do you want to go?" And she's like, "Perfect. Yeah, let's go." So we still were able to do something else, and it was still early, and it wasn't like dinner and drinks, and you were not like she like she had makeup on and everything, but it wasn't like her like nightgown or like night dresser,
I'm not gonna lie to you, Ben. You come up with some really good first dates. Like that's really cute. That's really cute. Yeah,
I mean,
no, but
I like to pay attention to the details, and I feel that's what wins them over.
I actually agree with you. I actually have a friend here who's one of the co-owners of one of like the busiest brunch places. I'm not a brunch person, but I would do it on a first date. I would definitely do it. I think that's a really cute idea. And yeah, you're right. You don't even have to drink, which is kind of nice too, because then you can really be present for the date too. So yeah, I think brunch is really cute too. Well, here's a big question. Who do you think should pay on the first date?
I always offer to pay. I always I'm always gonna pay. If she says no, 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 let's split it, I'll split it. But I'm always thinking I'm gonna pay on the first date, like no matter what. And I like the girls, even though they think that the guy's gonna pay. I like when they try to go towards their wallet or like, oh, let's split it. And I'm like, no, it's fine. And they're like, okay, but at least they kind of asked, you know?
I kind of offered.
Yeah, they kind of offered like, oh, we can split it. And I'm like, no, please, it's on me. Like, I'm always gonna think of paying. And I think it's just like, I don't know, nice gesture.
Well, you know what's really interesting? I absolutely hate, and in Europe they split. That's like a thing for them, but I hate splitting because I split with my friends. I want to feel like it's a date. So when you split it, it's not a date anymore. It's like hanging out with one of your friends. You split with your friends. So to me, it's really important that one person pays, and preferably the guy.
But
Because-
what if he says, what, like, would you even offer to pay?
so it's really interesting. If it's really, really, really interesting. I used to always offer and
Mhm.
always offer. And if I've had a guy be like, let's split it, then I'm like, great, we'll split it. But I didn't see it as a date from there. I'm happy to pay from there. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not about the money. It's about, I'm telling you, I'm really old school. I like being courted. So if I'm
yeah,
interested, I'll say, like, I would hope that he would pay for the whole thing because if he split it, I'm going to instantly just consider him a friend. I'm going to not consider that a date.
yeah.
I do offer, I don't as much anymore, and I'll tell you why. Because they always say no, which when it's a nice date and it's great and I like it. But I used to always offer, and I actually agree with you. I think a girl should offer. I just had an experience with this guy one time, and it wasn't our first date. It was like our second or whatever date, and I didn't even want to go out. And he kept persisting that I gave him another chance, and I really didn't want to go. I told him like we don't really match, blah blah blah. And then he's like, please, please, I'm actually in your area. Let's just grab one drink. Let's grab one drink. And I was like, like I maybe I was a little hard, like because he was a nice person. I'm like, maybe fine, I'll go for another one. And I only got like one drink. He got a whole bunch of drinks, and he ate all this food, and I didn't touch anything. And then I wanted to like pay for my wine because I didn't want it to be a date. I was like trying to offer. So when I did, he said, "Okay, so you got the whole thing." And I ended up spending like Like I didn't even eat or touch anything. Like I don't eat. I'm a vegetarian. It was all meat stuff. It was meatballs. I didn't touch anything, and I ended up paying for his
That that
entire
was
meal
that
dinner.
was that was a bullshit move from him. I
I think
mean,
it was him getting even, but it also made
yeah.
me realize like sometimes like and I don't like like I kind of have
But
to learn this from my
again, we're
friends.
talking about first date, and you're saying that this was your second or third one, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
that's true.
count.
That's true.
Doesn't
That's true.
count
First
because
day.
yeah,
Yeah. I
first
do
date,
offer. Yeah.
I feel like when they offer, I like that. I like
But I
that they
never
offer.
offer to split. I never offer to
Oh
split.
no,
If I
no.
like the person, I offer to cover, like I said, do you want me to or whatever, but I don't offer to split. If I'm interested. If I'm not interested, I'm like, do you want me to split? Do you want to split it? So that's my
Oh,
thing.
I have never got someone that says, "Oh, I offer to pay." Like usually,
Oh,
I mean,
really?
yeah, I mean, usually when they're just like going and reaching for their purse or whatever, I'm like, no,
Mhm.
no, no, don't worry, I got it. But I'm thinking if they're reaching out, it's more of, oh, let's split it. Like at least, like that's my idea. I'm never expecting a girl's gonna pay
If
for
I
me.
like the guy and I'm offering, I'll offer the whole thing. If I don't like him, I'm not interested again. I'll be like, do you want to split it? I'll specifically say that. But
Okay,
I will say
when I go
since
and visit you to LA, let's see how it goes and see if you pay for it.
we're splitting it, jerk off. We're friends.
Oh wow.
But I will tell you something. I do notice myself. That's why when you're asking, I do notice since now I'm not to pick up second thing, but since that happened, I'm more wary when I do. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm more on a like time like there are times where I really feel like this person has like been aggressive or rude or whatever, and it was a really awful first date, and I won't offer at all. I'll just say thanks so much and I'll leave. Like you know what I mean? Like, and if I feel like I've been on my best behavior and that person's been, and I'm in LA, there are a lot of arrogant assholes.
Well, yeah. I
I
mean,
won't order
if you were in,
anything. Or I won't even order anything. I usually like in general on a first date I don't really order. I first of all, I like to share food in general. I'm not someone who likes to have like a meal to myself. So if I feel like the date's like meh, kind of like whatever, it's not going great or whatever, I really don't suggest anything. I'm just like, get whatever you want, we'll share. But because I don't want them paying for my stuff. Like I don't want to be like, oh, I want like fries and this and that and whatever, and I don't like the guy. I'm not trying to get a free meal. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know how you
sometimes
go on these dates. If you were already talking with this person
you'd be
for,
surprised. People change. Yeah. I went on a first date recently with a guy who was super chill the first time in fact, I really, really appreciate it because we talked online for a little bit. Like, I'm much more selective now, right? When I was younger, I would actually walk out on a date. I'd be so pissed or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
there was no communication before. So it was kind of my own fault. Like, I just was going on all these dates. And so I really, whatever. Like, and I was like, I don't want to waste calories on this jerk and he shouldn't waste money. And I would just like leave. And I wasn't like, I'm going to the bathroom and leave. I would be like, I can't stand you. I'm leaving, you know? But as I got older, I take time. So I'm like talking to someone. If they talk to me normally online or like in person and I don't feel like there's any like arrogance or whatever, I'm like, great. Like I always say like I at least try to give the benefit of the doubt, like to see if I feel like there's some commonality, let's see what happens. So just recently I was talking to this guy online. It was a very easygoing conversation. We had a lot in common. And then I gave him my number and he called me, which I really, really appreciate when a guy plans ahead of time. And that's another question. Like, like how early do you ask? Like it was a Monday and he called me on Monday and said, would you like to grab dinner on Friday? And I really appreciate it. It wasn't like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Like I absolutely hate that. And guys do that.
I was just gonna ask you that, like, how
Horrible.
soon is it to call someone or to ask someone out after
I
you did the first match? But go ahead. Sorry, I
Well,
didn't want to
I think
interrupt, but
no,
let's.
no. Well, that's fine. Like, I think we talked for a couple days. Like, we're old enough. The conversation was flowing. After 2 days or one day, if the conversation is flowing, I don't think that matters. Like, if you know when you're having an easy conversation with someone, like you guys have a lot to talk about, whatever. I don't remember how long we talked online. I wouldn't say it was more than a day or two, but then I got his number. We texted a little bit, and then he called me like one day on the Monday and asked me out on Friday. And I really appreciate it, like giving me days. Like I think you should at least ask for like 2 days out. Like give a girl a heads up. Like not are you free tonight or are you free tomorrow? Like, you know? And
Yeah.
so
Okay.
maybe tomorrow, if you guys are talking so much and like you're like can't wait to meet the person, because that does happen, maybe tomorrow, but not like what are you doing right now, which a lot of people do, like, or drinks tonight. Like guys do a lot. It's like I'm not your like I'm so bored. Let me just shove a date in, like so. So he called me on Monday and he said, "Do you want to go out Friday?" And I was like, "Great." And then Wednesday came around and he didn't say anything like where, when, what time. And I think you should like do that. Like a proper thing is like saying like Friday 7 or Friday, like, Wednesday came around, he said nothing. So I messaged him Wednesday, I said, "Hey, what time Friday works for you?" I hear you popping a beer, by the way.
Yes, you know
but
me.
but so so he said, like, I messaged him, which I thought was kind of a little irritating too. Like, I appreciate the person saying like Friday at 7 o'clock this place. So he said nothing. So I messaged and he was like, "Oh, well, what do you feel? What are you craving?" And I was like, "Oh God, we're playing this game." And I was like, "I'm open to anywhere. How about you pick?" Because he was also like very accomplished. I had a feeling like he was gonna like I didn't want him thinking like I was gonna pick the best place trying to get him to pay or anything. So I don't want to pick a place. I'm just gonna like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I said anywhere's fine with me. Just I would like to know a time and a place. And then he finally told me a time and a place. But when I met him in person, he was sorry. Coming to that place took a long time too. It was like a whole different conversation. And up until this point we were so easy our conversations, and like trying to figure out where he was like making it so difficult, like being like, "Well, I live on this part of town. I guess this is in between." I was like, "Oh my God, this is like not, it's not rocket science. Like we only live like 10 minutes apart. Like just pick a goddamn place." And then, so anyways, we did that. And then the day I met him though, he was super arrogant. And he was not the person I was over the phone, like, or the person I talked to. He was like totally egotistical, just want to talk about how successful he is. And up until a point, all of our conversations, he'd not been that way. So there are times where it's different. I've also had the opposite, where this guy was so fun over text and phone, so funny. And then in person was a complete mute, like complete mute, you know? And I remember like we had ordered drinks in an Applebee's, and he's like, "What should we get for dinner?" I said, "Honestly, I can't. Like, I can't do dinner. Like, we should just go because I'm really bored. This is not going well." And he was like, "What? I'm having such a good time." And I was like, "How? Like there is no conversation." So I do think people can be different in person.
Yeah. I mean, true.
I
Yeah,
even
it can
had
happen.
I like not to keep telling stories, but like I even had this guy that I talked to for a month. He was passing through LA, and I was actually leaving for to Vancouver. And
Hmm.
so the day he was here, we like couldn't meet up. Like I was leaving the next morning and he had like was leave like just got to LA, I can't remember. He lived in Miami. And we ended up talking nonstop for a month. And I usually don't do that. Like if someone doesn't live here, I'm like, oh, whatever. But we ended up talking. He was so funny. He was so chill, so easygoing for a whole month. And then we planned for him to come back to LA. And when I went to go get him from the airport, I'm not kidding when I tell you, like the chemistry was so like just the moment I saw him, it wasn't his look, he was very good looking, but just something about his aura, and that aura stayed the whole week, 10 days, it was a week or 10 days that I hung out with him. It was the same, it was like it was just this awful, awful, arrogant, like he even like at one point, like we went to get the car from the valet and I didn't have cash. And when he went to get him, I was like, "Oh, like don't forget to tip him," because I saw he only wrote like $10 out. And normally I don't say that, but like normally people like tip the valet at least a couple bucks. And he was like,
Yeah.
to the valet guy, he said, "What, for having no ambition?" I
The
felt
fuck?
sick. Yeah,
Yeah.
felt sick. And as soon as he got in the car, I'm like, "This is done. Like I never want to hang out with you again." Like I couldn't believe you could speak to someone like that. Like, like how, what do you mean he has no ambition? He has a job and he's doing well for himself. And but I'm telling you, over the phone for a month, FaceTiming everything, none of that arrogance was there. None.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
So
So
now, going on a good date, when are you expected for him to reach back out? Like, are you expecting next day? Are you expecting 2 days?
well, I think proper, like if whoever's someone else is paid, I think the proper thing to do regardless is to thank them through text that night. Like, thanks so much for like once I get home, like thanks so much for a good night. I really appreciated whatever it is that we did. If they, I think that's important to do regardless, but to
Yes.
continue conversation, I think like if it was good chemistry and a good date and you felt it, I think like there's no games. Like if you want to message them the next day, you can. What about you?
I mean, if I had a great time, I'll message that person the next day. But then I don't want to be that guy that is like, I don't know how women feel about that. If the next day is like too soon, are they expecting like, I don't know, the third day, like you know how they say like, oh, you have to wait at least 3 days.
That's so old school though. That's so old school.
Well,
And that's
you're
like
old
playing
school.
games.
You were just but you just said
I
that you like
know,
old
yeah.
school.
But I don't like games. I don't like the games of old
Well, it's
school.
not.
That's a
It,
game. If you think about
it's still
something,
the game. Yeah, like dating is still a game. I mean, because you're trying to
dating
do your
shouldn't
best,
be a game. Dating should not be. It should not be a game. If you're
but
trying,
you're trying, but you also don't want to be like, hey, like on top of the girl all the time. Like, how much is
but
too much texting and how much is not? Like,
maybe it shouldn't be like so. I mean, it's funny they say like I have a girlfriend who's like recently single after being married for a long time, and she gets nervous if a guy doesn't message her consistently. But I feel like if you had good chemistry, let's say we went on a date and we had good chemistry, and it's not a game. If I think of you the next day and I want to say something, I wouldn't think of my friend and want to say something to them and then hold off for a couple of days. That's not natural. That's playing a game. If I thought of you and I had something sweet or funny or whatever to say, like maybe during our day we talked about something and then the next day it popped up in my mind or something that referenced it, I'm going to say it. Like, why would you hold back if the chemistry was there? But at the same time, I
yeah,
wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't
I
expect it
mean,
either.
I don't hold off. Like I text right away. I like texting. I like when they answer back right away. So I'm like that. If I like this person, I mean, I'm expecting like you what you were saying. Like, hey, had a great time. Thanks for dinner. Hope we can do this again. Yes. And I'll be like, hey, like next day, let's say this is Tuesday. I'll be like, hey, by the way, on Friday, I'm free. Do you want to do something? I mean, I don't mind texting next day. Maybe not, hey, let's go out today again, but let's do it again. And I'll reach out even next day and say, hey, let's do it again 2 days after this or in three
And
days.
because that's the natural thing to do. If you think of that person and you felt it and
Yeah.
why not? What I don't like the game part of the old school stuff. Like people used to do that, wait 3 days or whatever. But at the same time, I think that people should be comfortable enough to not expect it consistently either. Like if the guy messaged me the next day and was, I think you should, if you both felt chemistry, like, hey, had a good time at some point that night or the next day, say it. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect like consistent communication on the first after the first date either. Like if he was like, hey, like let's say it was like Tuesday and he's like, are you free Saturday? I don't expect him to message me every day till Saturday either because it's only been after our first date,
Yeah.
you know.
But you,
But
you don't mind a text here and there after, like one day after, hey, thought of you because of this. Ha ha ha. Whatever.
I think actually if there's chemistry and you both feel connection, having any sort of holdback is actually to set you up for failure. Because it's like not being your natural self. And like
Yeah.
I think we should always put our best foot forward, but our natural foot forward. Like if your best foot forward is, you know, going like making it like your dates are cute and fun. Like they're, you know what I mean? And if like another guy's best foot forward is like some he likes fancy dates, or another guy's best foot forward is he likes to like go like wine take, I don't know, like something else, right? Whatever's your natural way should be that, you know? Like
Yeah.
but it should be natural to you. Like I've had guys like they plan all these elaborate days, but it's not even natural to them. Like they don't like you just said, like you don't want to take a girl bowling, but there are guys who want to like they get really excited for like I've had you know, a first date where like the guy like took me to all these to do this place to this place or do these things that were not even things he likes doing. He didn't like drinking, so we went to these like those wine flute tasting things. He hates wine and he hates drinking, so why do it? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that, I understand you're trying to impress me, but I would have been more impressed with whatever was natural to you, you know?
Yeah.
So best foot forward, no games, absolutely no games. If you think about the person, say something just like you would with your friends. Why?
Yeah.
Like I don't think like, oh, I want to say something to Ben today, and like, no, let me wait until Friday. I don't want to be too pushy. It's like, like it's
Yeah.
a 5 second text, you know.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
also, what about this? Like we're talking about like first date. Like what about? I'm talking about natural things. I hate when people aren't themselves. It's a really big red flag. And I think people are now smart enough to, on a general gist, tell when someone is just faking it. Do you like to impress you or being fake or agreeing with you for just to impress you?
I really have not had that experience. I'm I'm a really chill guy. Like
Mhm.
for me, a perfect date is if you say, "Hey, let's go have some tacos and at a brewery." I love beer. So like something like that for me is perfect. Or so I feel like there's nothing to that they want to show off, you know? Like I just don't feel like I, if I wanted to, then I would probably take her to this fancy restaurant in order, but I'm
Mhm.
not gonna do that because I would probably not be even interested in that person if I have to fake myself to take her out to a date. So
It's the wrong person for you.
yeah, I would not even in the dating apps. I see all these photos of girls at Vineyard, blah blah blah. I don't like wine, so I mean, maybe if it's like the fifth date and we've been having a really good time and she likes wine, I would probably do something. Hey, let's go to a vineyard, and I don't mind going, but for first time, no. And I'm not gonna swipe. I can't remember if it's left or right because I don't use that one. But I'm not gonna say I like you if I see all these photos that I it's just something that I don't.
Do.
Yeah,
But what
yeah,
about
no.
conversation wise? Like you've never had a girl say what you felt wasn't true just to impress you. Like you love beer. Like what if they were all like trying to act like they love beer and whatever and they want to go beer taste and you're like, "Oh, this person doesn't like why are you faking it?" You know what I mean?
I feel like the girls that I've gone out with and like beer, they like beer. I mean, they don't have to
They didn't
like.
fake it.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, because beer is, I mean, I think like to fake that you know about beer, it's kind of hard. Not that I'm like an expert, but if you don't like beer, you're not gonna like beer, you know?
Well, let me tell you like an example. Like I hung out with this guy that was actually lovely. I actually met him on a plane too. But um
You went planes. Look at
I know. But actually, we were like in an airport. It's actually like an interesting story. Like, I wasn't supposed to be on his plane. I asked to switch because I had a 5 hour delay and I only had
hmm
a carry on. So I asked to go on to that flight. And as I was getting on the flight, they switched the flight for me. I thought, wow, that guy's so cute. And ironically, he sat right across from me. And then our plane gets delayed. We actually landed, like we were delayed by hours. We actually landed after my flight that was originally supposed to take. But we were we were stuck on the plane for a long time. Like the flight was a few hours. I think it was like 4 or 5 hours, and we were sitting on the runway for like 3, 4 hours. Like it was insane. Like so we ended up talking the entire time. I had such a great time with him. And on our first date, actually, he did pick me up because I felt like I already knew him. And we had a great first date and we went on a series of dates. But one thing I saw from right off the first date, I'm a little bit of a ball buster, right? And he was like a little bit of a wild child growing up, and he was always a clean cut guy. And I actually like opposite people to me. Like my best friend now is an atheist. I'm totally not. Like I don't mind someone being opposite. She's like doesn't do anything that's not outside of like a proper box, you know. And I'm always like, what's over there? Like it says no exit. Like let's go see that, you know. And I don't mind that, but I was ball busting him a little bit, and then he went out of his way on our first date to start saying some. I mean, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I cornered him, but he started to say some stupid story about like, oh, he used to be some big party guy, and he had this friend and they threw him over the balcony, and then the friend got up and came back and then threw him over the balcony again. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not five. Anybody who got thrown over the balcony has a broken spine and at least some broken bones. They're not just coming back up and you're like tossing them over like it's some soccer ball. But that's some kind of bullshit story that he was saying. And right off that first date, I just never really saw him the same. I felt like he was a little insecure because he was saying some bullshit story and he was trying to say things to me to impress. Had he just been like, yeah, this is who I am, I'm not that partier I never was.
Okay.
You
Okay,
know what I
yeah, if
mean?
it's yeah. So I had a date like that. I met this girl. I went I went to I went over to pick her up. She said yes. Picked her up and she's like, "Oh, I love steak. I want to go to a steakhouse." Okay. We go to a steakhouse to start ordering. She starts telling me that she owns her own business and blah 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 blah. She grooms dogs and all this and I find out that what she's doing, she has like 15 kennels in her house, and she's doing it all from her house. Her house smelled terrible,
Oh
like
my God.
smelled like dog, like. But she's making
Like
it
wet
sound
dog?
like yeah, like wet dog, like bad, like just like because she has 15 kennels in a small house, like it wasn't like a big house inside, like where her living room should be. That
Mhm.
were like 50 kennels with like you would just walk in and it's like barking, 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 and but she's making it sound like, oh, I have my own business, like if she was renting a place or or and no, it was just her doing like a side gig,
She wasn't
which
trying
was
to tell
her.
you the full story. She was trying to impress you by being a
Yeah,
little deceiving. So then that's a
yes,
question I have for you. Like I something as simple as like I've had guys where like online they lie about their age, and I spoke like there was one guy that I spoke to for like maybe a long time. Like it was actually right before the lockdown was done in during COVID. So we spoke for like a week or two, um, because there was no restaurants open. We were waiting for them to be open, like we knew it was coming. So we talked for a long time before we met. And he put his age as like 38 or 40 or something, and he ended up being like 50, like way off. But he didn't tell me until our first date. And I thought, wow, you had like a long time to tell me, to give me the choice of whether I want to date someone that much older or not, but didn't. And it didn't matter what he did after that date. I just felt like he was deceiving, just like this girl deceived the business, or like that guy
yeah.
from the plane deceived like his backstory. I just can't get past that. I'm like, why did you think that I'm that stupid? You know, I
Yeah,
don't know.
and if
Would
you
you
want to
would you
go
go
out
on
with
a
me,
business?
I'm eventually no, of course not.
Yeah, like okay, so then I felt that same way. Like I was like, I can't see past it. Like I tried to with the plane guy. I was like, he's such a great guy, and we did go on a few other dates after. But I was like, after that, everything he said to me, I was like, does that really happen? Is that a true
Yeah,
story? Like, it just okay. So deceiving or coming off, it comes off like everyone's insecure, but when you try to deceive through insecurity, so you're not willing to go on a date with that
no,
or
and
come off as somebody you're not.
eventually you're gonna find out, right? I mean, if you keep
So,
on going on dates, like I'm pretty sure if you would have gone on this date with this guy from the balcony, you might have met his friend one day. The friend could have been like, "No, bro, that never happened," like, or I
and
don't
it
know,
just
like,
it's like something so small, but it just feels like this person isn't genuine. I don't know. I can't. So yeah, or like this girl, like with her, it's like if she was upfront and like I run this through my home because I'm trying to help these animals and it means a lot to me, you would have saw her differently
of
instead
course,
of
yeah,
her trying to make herself seem like bigger
a
than she
businessman,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh
So
yeah, I'm a businesswoman. I have my own, and I'm like, no, you just bought a shit ton of kennels, and you take time to take care of dogs. I mean, it's fine, but don't make it seem like you have this franchise or like yeah,
yeah. Well, I guess like a big takeaway from all of this is really important, I think, for everyone to understand. Even if you're insecure, which everyone is, you should own who you are. I think what we're both saying is no matter what it is, as minuscule as it is, or as dumb as it sounds, or whatever, own yourself and be true to yourself because one, people will find out, they'll feel like you're lying, they'll feel deceived. And two, it makes you come off like as someone you're not. And why would you want someone to like you for someone you're not? You know, that's not
Yeah.
even liking you, that's liking the lie. So owning who you are and being true to it and being honest is so freaking important, especially today. Like today, I think we're all seeking truth in all aspects of our lives. So yeah, it's really important to own who you are, the flaws. And I always believe that someone who really likes you more for your flaws than your good things. It's easy to like someone for the good things. So,
Yeah.
you don't need to be anything other than who you are, whether it's good or bad, you know?
And if somebody doesn't like how you are with your flaws, I mean, that's on them and it sucks, but I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna find someone that likes me with my flaws, and I'm gonna accept them and they're gonna accept my flaws because as you said, we're not all perfect and we all have like insecurities.
Totally, totally. I have
Yeah.
one last thing before we let this one go. Whatever
Okay.
being, I just want to ask you something. Like, even if I'm interested in someone, I don't like someone being too handsy on a first date. That is like a big no no for me. Like, I
How
just don't.
handsy.
Like, there are guys that the date's going well, and all of a sudden I see their hand on my leg, and I'm like, no, it's like a first date. Like, that hand should not be touching my leg. I absolutely hate that on a first date. And I do
I
not,
would never I would never do that. Like no.
right?
No, like no.
So you think even
Um
if you're interested in someone and the chemistry's great, keep your hands to yourself.
the most I would do is give you a hug when we say goodbye. Like if I
You don't
drop you
kiss,
off
right?
or
I don't
no,
like being kissed on the
I
first date
don't
either.
I don't kiss in my first date. I
Not
mean,
me either.
I don't mind if it happens. You know, if it's going good, I don't mind if it happens. But I'm never gonna try to reach out for a kiss or like try to pull. Like, no, I'm never gonna do that.
I just don't, even if I'm really interested in someone, I don't want them kissing me on the first date. I don't like the pressure. I don't like that pressure of the end of a first date. Like, like let that just naturally happen
I
another
mean,
time.
and it may happen. You know, like you may be on your first date and he walked you back to your house and you're on the door on in front of your door and you're talking and then you just both look at each other and maybe you want to kiss him and you go and I mean if it happens it happens, but I'm never gonna straight up try to kiss that person. No.
Oh, but um, it totally cut out on my end. I'm so sorry, but I did hear you until you said maybe you want to on the first date.
Yeah, if like if you want to kiss that person, maybe that happens. Like you're standing and you're looking at each other and sparks happen and you kiss, then that's fine. But I am never gonna go out and try to kiss a girl on my first date. Nope.
And you're definitely not going to touch their legs. I don't mind my back being touched, my arms, but I cannot stand someone touching my legs on the first date. Like if we're sitting across from each other, if that hand reaches anywhere near my legs, I want to break it. I
No,
absolutely hate it.
never. No, yeah.
Oh, thank
No, I
God.
again the only thing I'm gonna do is hug you at the end of the date and that if it was going good. Like if it was a good date, then
I
that's as
feel like
much as I'd
I
be
feel like
antsy.
you're a fun first date. Honestly, you are a good first date. I hope some guys are listening and they take away a ton of your tips. Like this is a great first date, So I think we should end it here for today. And then next week we're gonna talk about the first 3 dates. And kind of also we'll bring up like what dating was meant to us back as kids and what it means to us today. But before we sign off, I do want to remind our listeners that we are every Tuesday going to release an episode and to please follow us at the perfect underscore X, and that's just the letter X on Instagram. Follow us on podcast stuff, subscribe to us. And if you have any questions or anything, email us at the perfect X, again, just the letter X at hotmail.com.
Yes. Send us
Perfect.
all your comments and questions and whatever topic you would like to talk about.
I feel like some girls might ask you out. I feel like we're gonna get a bunch of emails asking them, "Is Ben available? Where does he live?"
Well, I'm in Austin, Texas, so yeah, feel free to reach out and yeah, you never know.
And he's super cute, girls. He's super cute. All right, I'll
No,
talk to you soon.
Sherry is super
Oh,
beautiful, but yeah,
oh, you're so
she is.
nice. But no, I after tonight, I don't. I sound like greedy and hungry for a first date. So I don't. I'll be, there's no emails for me. If anything, I've got people unmatching with me on Tinder right now. So
Okay, Sherry. Well, I'll see you next week then.
I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye bye, everyone.